What the fuck is up, my britches? I cannot right now. And you know what? A cocktail's in order for this one tonight because if y'all thought I was pissed about Jacqueline Cosmetics lipsticks, you got another thing coming because this is another level pissed off for me because I'm over here just wondering how this is real fucking life right now. What's going on with James Charles, bye sister. Because, listen, I try not to comment on much drama or anything anymore just because I'm a firm believer in I don't feel that there's any such thing as bad publicity. But this is another level. Like, this is a fucking crime. And I always feel this way when I do decide to speak up about something. I feel like not enough people are truly expressing things. I think it's really annoying that the fact that you have to word things a certain way because of YouTube, because they choose to suppress certain content because of that reason. It's just all fucking dumb. So I'm just gonna say it with my whole chest how I feel about this whole thing. And I feel that it's important to first start with the fact of if you are particularly vulnerable to conversations like this, or if you are impacted by something like this, just don't watch it. It's not worth your mental health or anything like that. It's going to be a very heavy topic because it is involving children. It's involving a very, very famous influencer that a lot of children look up to. And I think that this is just such a fucking problem. And I've waited. It's been a week now since his apology came out. And I've tried to gather my thoughts. I'm going to go through the video. Hopefully it works for you guys today because I've never done like a screen share that the video actually plays. I wanted to comment along just so I don't lose my place because I think that there's so many things. Like, first of all, I'm another believer that I think apology videos are fucking dumb because of this right here. It's time and time again that these influencers, that these public figures, they make these apologies to appease an audience. And then we end up right back here years and years and years again later. An apology means fucking nothing when it's just a blanket statement to a bunch of different people. And I'm going to get into more of my feelings why. And I'm not trying to do this video saying that I'm better than anybody or anything like that. This is just something that it really bothers me. This is bothering me. That's why I'm using my platform to discuss it because I feel that it's an important conversation. And this is something that I could take with me into my life. And I've had these conversations because I do have children. And this is, to me, like one of a parent's worst fear is something like this happening to your children. And I just want to reiterate that this is a very famous influencer known as James Charles, which I feel like everybody knows exactly who he is. He's got 25 million followers on let's see, YouTube, he's got 25 million. TikTok, I think he has 36 million. I think Instagram's about the same. This is a very predominant figure in a lot of children's lives. And it's truly disgusting. And I think it's only appropriate to take a stroll down memory lane and just remember and really help people understand why I feel the way that I do is just because this is a pattern of behavior and it's such a fucking problem. This is a problem and something needs to be done about it because this is a crime, okay? So I'm sure most of us remember 2 years ago, Tati Westbrook uploaded her Bye Sister. It was a huge scandal. It was like a huge fucking thing. James Charles lost 3 million subscribers in like within a few days. It was like unheard of. This overtook mainstream media. It was a shit show. And it's kind of crazy like looking back at it a few years later and how like I feel like one of the biggest problems was overshadowed by other stupid shit, like the fact that he might have been a bad person or he said stupid thing or whatever. I just feel like the focus was taken away from, I feel like, the main point of Tati's initial video. And it's just crazy. So I'm going to see if this works. Let me know if you guys could hear this or not. I'm going to play like a brief clip just so you guys can see it. Let me know if you can hear the audio because I feel like this is a very important part of her initial video. So here we go.
I think one of the biggest reasons that I'm doing this video is because...
Can you guys hear that? Let me know if you guys could hear that because it's not showing that you can on my end. I really hope that you can because I want to really paint this picture. But in the case that you can't, I'll then elaborate more. I just felt like it was kind of better to hear it coming straight from the people that are saying it. So I'm looking in the chat now to see if you guys could actually hear what she was saying. That way I know to continue on in a certain way. Kelly, I'm here for the rant part 2. I'm like, y'all come here for the rants, guys. Okay, so you can't hear it. I don't know exactly how. I guess I'm not going to be able to do it. I wanted to show her video. So in that video, I'll link it below after the fact. In her initial video, she said the main reason why she was making, or one of the biggest reasons she was making the video was because of his problematic behaviors. Like, she didn't come out and say, like, involving children, but she was saying his actions could further affect his career. And, like, looking at everything now, it was, like, implying because he's talking to kids. He's talking to minors. So I feel like that was, okay, but you all remember this video. So it's just one of those things. It's at, like, the 23-minute mark if you guys want to go watch it. It's been re-uploaded. Tati's original video is no longer there. So I'm paraphrasing when I say, like, that's what she had said. But I just feel like that was such an important thing because I feel like when he posted the classic No More Lies video, where is it? I know I pulled that one up. No More Lies. This alone is a big problem. The fact that the No More Lies video exonerated this individual, and it has 55 million views. Granted, this is like a year later at this point. But it's like, that's such a fucking problem alone. Like, it's so annoying. Like, I also want to come out and say this too. I've never been a fan of James Charles. Like, this is coming from, I want to make that blatantly apparent that I'm not trying to hide the fact that I'm not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of him just because his personality is not necessarily my cup of tea. But I also think it's just one of those things, like, I don't want, it doesn't need to be a conversation. I've never liked him as a person. He just didn't fit what I look for in a creator. I do feel that he is not the best role model, but then again, neither am I. Some people say, well, you swear in your videos, you're not a good role model, whatever. But painting this whole picture, I'm glad to know for my own peace of mind that my, like, instincts were not wrong. So let's just move on to the video. Okay, so if you didn't know what's going on, he posted his apology video, which I really wish that you guys could hear the audio. That really annoys me because I wanted you guys to be able to listen with me because I wanted to comment as he was going. So I'm going to try to, paraphrase and just give my 2 cents. This is solely based on my opinion. So if you didn't see his apology video, did I even pull it up on here? Let me pull it up. It's called Holding Myself Accountable. And in this video, guys, there's so many, like, drama channels are covering this as well. I'll give you guys the brief look of what the video looks like. In the case that you didn't see it and you want to go watch it, entertain yourself. It's got 6.8 million views. It was uploaded a week ago. And you know what? Let's click on it for shits and gigs because it's got the likes to dislikes ratio is a perfect example. Let's move it up so you guys could see it. It's a perfect example of why it's always been such a problem because his audience is made up of predominantly 12 to 14-year-olds. That's a given. He has a very young audience. That this is the example that he's setting for these kids. Even by uploading this video, it's like, what in the actual fuck is going on? Why is this behavior acceptable? Why is it that a grown-ass man who's 21 years old can get on camera and publicly admit that he's had inappropriate conversations with children? Because, you know what? Let's go there. Let's get really petty really quick. Let's look up the definition of a child, shall we? Because this is where it's like, are people forgetting? I mean, this is just a quick Google search, but a definition of a child is any person that is under the age of 18. Some say the definition is between, like, younger than puberty, but in most cases it's legal age, which is 18 in most states. So I'm so curious to how an apology video is appropriate in this instance because this is a fucking crime. It's a crime. What happened is a crime. And he just admitted to it publicly to an audience of 25 million people. How is this real fucking life? I'm having, like, deja vu right now of Jacqueline Cosmetics. Okay. So I know that there's other channels on YouTube that have talked about this, that have legal expertise and all that sort of stuff. And what they say obviously makes sense, because that's the thing, is the parents are going to need to press charges. But here's like my biggest takeaways from the video. I feel that his video was so inappropriate just because, like, you can pick apart any apology video. I know that I could nitpick every single thing, and that's why I feel that apology videos are fucking dumb. Because let's not forget, he said the same exact shit a year ago, that he wasn't going to message kids anymore. He was going to do this to verify. This is a fucking pattern of behavior. This has been 2 years ongoing. Okay? It's very sad that it has to come to this, especially when it involves children, that it has to come down to these kids like publicly blasting it on social media of their private DMs. But that's not even like the worst part of it. It's just oh, well, they lied to me, so I'm the victim. But then again, I also take responsibility. Like, just the fact that it just shouldn't have been. Like, this is, again, it's me being nitpicky. But that's always the excuse. That's always the excuse that he's given. And I'll pull up a prime example of that because, okay, my sister happened 2 years ago. If he didn't learn from that whole experience that, hey, maybe you shouldn't inappropriately message kids. This is February 26th of this year. Addressing that people were calling him out about grooming and pedophilia, which we'll get to. We're going to define that in a little bit. But this is always the first step that he takes with saying that this wasn't my fault. They lied to me. Therefore, I'm the victim. Go fuck yourself, okay? You're the adult. Even if is it right that the kids lied? No. I'm finally glad that you realize that you have a power imbalance with your fans. Like, why are you trying to fuck your friends, James, or your fans, James? Why are you trying to do that? Make that make sense to me. But here's like the kicker, right? Here is the fucking kicker. Is in his newest apology video is, I've always wanted to find an older guy that makes me laugh. It's not true that that I'm seeking out young children. That I'm using my app as a dating app, or I'm using that TikTok as a dating app. Y'all really believe that? Because first of all, it comes down to, my biggest issue with the apology video is this was not an apology to the people that he had hurt as far as his victims, because that's what they are. They're victims. They were victimized sexually by James Charles. This apology sets the standard for kids that have this happen to them, that as long as people that do these things to them, as long as they say they're sorry, it's okay. When you do these things to a child that will affect them for the rest of their fucking lives, that's punishable by law. That's why we have laws. You cannot do that. Whether they lied to you or not, the cold hard fact is their information was readily available for you to see that they were 14, 15, 16. Like, there's up to, I think, 15 victims now. When are we going to say enough's enough? And that's where I'm just like, this apology was just to be like, if this has happened to more kids, in like a child's mindset, you can't help but feel like they'll be like, well, he said he's sorry, so it's okay. Just because they're a kid. I don't know. That's where I'm just like, wow, I'm so fucking mind blown. It's not even funny that, like, first of all, James, you have millions of dollars. Where the fuck is your PR team? And you know what? Some people could look at this and be like, you know what? This is holding himself accountable because he just confessed on a camera. Like, he just confessed it to the world that he's done this. But the bigger problem is, how the fuck does he still have platforms? I am perfectly okay with people not having platforms if they are if they are grooming and being predatory towards kids. I'm perfectly okay with that, just because I don't think, I've had a really hard time myself, like, struggling with this personally, because this is reality right now. I have an 8-year-old and I have a 17-year-old. I've had to have these conversations of, like, the don't talk to strangers on the internet. And it's just, like, mind-blowing, because it's like social media is not going away. So I initially want to take social media away, but I also, in the same breath, after like reflecting and everything, I'm like, that is kind of inappropriate, or it's not inappropriate, but it's not gonna help anything, because they should know how to navigate it. They should have that open communication to be able to come to their parents and say something if something does happen. And that's something that I'm working on myself. But it's just one of those things, like, even the fact that I've had to have this conversation with an 8-year-old because I'm trying to protect her is alarming. But that is unfortunately the world that it seems that we live in. And it's just, I can't help but to come back to the fact of, like, you know damn well, like, the whole power imbalance and how he didn't understand that is mind-blowing. And you could sit there and say, I'm desperate, go fuck yourself. That, what? The fact that you're desperate was reason for you saying, because you have a hard time finding love in your life, when you've publicly admitted that you like younger guys on the Impulsive podcast? Yeah, that's out there too. Guys, don't forget. Like, there's so much on this. And I encourage you, like, I know not everybody loves Def Noodles, but Def Noodles has talked about, like, so many people. H3H3. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of him, but I feel like these are the people that come to mind when they're like, they're just going in. Like, he needs to be held accountable. How the fuck does he still have a platform? It's just, let me just say this. If I caught a grown-ass man, let me backtrack. If I'm going to put myself in, like, a teenage position, say, remember, like, when we were in the 90s, like, imagine a Backstreet Boy or an NSYNC band member messaging you in your DMs. You would lose your shit. As a kid, you're going to act in a certain way that you wouldn't typically act because of the power dynamic. How the fuck, like, James, how did you never understand that? I truly don't. I just think it's bullshit. It's a crock of shit. That's it. Period. So I know if I caught James Charles in my kids' DMs in the ways that he's talking to them, I would throw fucking hands. I'd probably drive my car. This is exaggeration, but I'm like, I would be infuriated, because it's wrong. It's so fucking wrong. And it just comes down to, like, this was a public confession. It was a confession. This was not an apology. This was a confession. It needs to be treated as that. And I really do hope that these parents hold him accountable, just because it's like, you can't help but feel like there is more. And you never want to, like, I could totally see where, like, because I think people are so quick to be like, oh, I can't believe this person's still friends with them. I can't believe this person's still friends with them. It's not going to be like a quick thing, like where brands just drop him, where influencers just drop them. Just because I'm pretty sure that there's a lot that happens behind the scenes. I'm sure, like, especially I see a lot of outrage with Morphe because they're still, like, promoting his stuff. It's almost like the innocent before proven guilty, but I think we're at the point now, like, once the confession comes out, like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing over there? Like, what else did you need? It's not speculation anymore. This is a crime that this person has committed. And he just said, yes, I did it on the internet. But he said sorry, so it's okay. And he's desperate. And he really needed to reflect in the past month. I mean, you're going to be a completely changed person. It didn't happen in the past 2 years. But guys, it really changed him this time. I fucking can't. But let's go back to his video. So that tweet, I'm not even on Twitter anymore. But I saw, like, I just looked up screenshots and that was one that came up. I'm like, prime example of how you're full of shit, saying, I will now ask to see ID or passport for every guy I have conversations with. This was in February. And then, like, a month later, he's also messaging kids that are not of age. So then this was my biggest problem with, and not my biggest problem. I have so many fucking problems, but this was a major problem for me with just, like, his excuses and his just reasoning for behavior. But this little conversation was with one of the children. I'm going to call them a child because that's what they are. So in this person, I'm going to paraphrase, like I said, there's so many other videos if you want to see, like, way more detail on it. But this was a conversation between him and an underage person. And the problem here is this person's age was all over their TikTok, right? So I see it's on December 11th or 13th of 2020. This is where I'm just like, you don't get it. It's the what the fuck is your problem posting screenshots of my snaps to you on your private story. I strongly recommend that you keep my name out of your mouth or we're going to have a major problem. I'd love to remind you that you are the one that called me cute and you were bisexual and into me. There's so many things wrong with that. So many. But that was just, it was one thing that stuck out to me so badly because it wasn't like it's just more taking advantage of that power dynamic. But then it's also like, now you're threatening children. You're threatening children for something that you chose not to look into. You threatened this kid. What? Like I keep saying, is this real fucking life? How... I understand, like, there has to be, like, a legal process, but it's so mind-blowing how his socials have not been taken away. That confession is everything. That's all these platforms need to say, you should not have a platform. You do not deserve this platform because you're using it to prey on your audience. There's so many things wrong with that. So let's look into, just touching back to the whole, like, because he wanted to address grooming and stuff like this, okay? This is on, like, U.S. legal. Child grooming refers to an act of deliberately establishing an emotional connection with a child to prepare the child for child abuse. Child grooming is undertaken usually to carry out sexual abuse and other child exploitation, like trafficking of children, child prostitution, or the production of child pornography. Let me just say that there's a reason that he's doing all this shit on Snapchat, because you think that once the pictures are gone, they're gone forever. I hope somebody gets a fucking, like, search warrant for his phone or something, because you know damn well that there's pictures of underage children on there. It's just, like, this is what, it's so frustrating, and, like, seeing his excuses and just seeing his reasoning for things. This is another thing, because I'm like, people need to say this with their whole chest, okay? This is what I was going to end with, but I want to see what you guys think in the chat, because I haven't been acknowledging the chat at all. This needs to be said, and it needs to be said out loud, very directly. The definition of a pedophile is a person who is sexually attracted to children. We already defined a child earlier. It's the person that's under the age of 18. James Charles is a fucking pedophile. He's a predator that preys on his audience. That's it. By definition, that is what you are. And you have the confession that secures that fact. I'm just saying. Because I am so fucking over this. Like, just because you say something doesn't mean that that's not real life. And all these people, this is what I was touching on, was you never want to believe something so vile about somebody. You never want to believe that anybody is capable of doing things like this. But unfortunately, that's not real life. Unfortunately, there are people that need help out there. And that's just the fact. That's the fact. James Charles, I'm really glad you came to all those conclusions. I'm really glad you're stepping away from social media so you could, like, refrain from messaging little kids. But you know what I would have loved to have heard? Like, what are you actually gonna fucking do? What are you gonna do? There was no answers to what I'm gonna do other than I'm gonna identify people legally. As if that's something that you shouldn't have already been doing. Like, you should be in jail. You should be heavily penalized for something like this. And it just comes back to you admitted it. You admitted it, whether you think you did or not. And this is another thing that really bothered me too, was if this was an apology that was meant for his victims, you should have called him out by name. But there's a reason that you didn't do that. And it's because you're not sorry. It's because you're still feeling a certain type of way because you feel that you were lied to. And you know what? It sucks that they lied. I know for a damn fact I was lying about my age when I was younger. But unfortunately, being an adult, you have adult consequences. And unfortunately, when you go into a court of law, being like, Your Honor, I'm sorry, but I'm desperate and they lied to me, they don't give a fuck. They don't. You fucked up. I'm glad you admitted that. But how are you going to hold yourself accountable? You better turn yourself the fuck in. That's what I got to say about it. Like, that to me, that is how you hold yourself accountable with something like this. It's not like you were talking shit. You got caught talking shit. You got caught talking shit. That's what I just tried to say. It's not like this is some dumb YouTube drama. It's not like people are just like assuming things about you. Like, at first this started as accusations. This video just changed everything. And it's so crazy to see it, but I'm so glad that it's out there, and I'm so glad that he did it, because hopefully now he will be held accountable the way that he deserves to be. Hopefully all these brands come through and, you know, stop promoting a person that, let's just be honest real quick. His whole career has been based on a lie. Let's not forget that. His whole career started off of a lie. It's sad to say, like, I've heard so many people say, because I've been posting on like TikTok and stuff, and it's sad to see people being like, oh, I'm not surprised. It's sad to see this happening, because this is affecting things. It's affecting kids that this is going to affect for the rest of their lives. And that's why, for me, I'm just over here like, if this happened to my kids, and if I just like put myself immediately in the shoes of their, like, the kids' parents, the victim's parents, and I'm like, I would be irate. And I just thought it was so interesting because his No More Lies video exonerated him. Like, if anything, his platform's doubled in size since then. Like, everybody worshiped the ground he walked on again because he came with the facts. He came with this. He called everybody's bluff. And now a year later, it's like, were all these people really lying? Were they lying? Did Tati lie by saying she tried to warn him to get help? Did Jeffree Star lie? Like, as controversial as he is, did he lie by saying he's a danger to society? According to his video, like, it's not speculation. That's what it just comes down to. It's not speculation anymore. This is a fucking crime that he flat out admitted to on the internet. And what's happened? He made the choice to leave YouTube. Maybe something is going on. What do you guys, like, okay, what do you guys think's going on? I just see Kelly commented. As a parent, sending him to jail would not be enough for me, but it would be the bare minimum. Same. I feel like jail is overall not the solution. That's only like a temporary solution. You need therapy. You need so much. Like, something is not right. For him to be so expressive with the fact that he likes younger people, and after this repetitive behavior, he is attracted to children, something needs to be, like, something is not right there. So, no, jail, I agree with that. Jail is the bare minimum, in my opinion. Oh, let's see. These are my favorite comments. No one's asked you to fucking be here. Yes, I love to hear myself rant because it makes me feel better. We should reach out to the FBI because these kids are probably out of state. And yeah, I have a feeling, though, it's going to come down to, like, the parents are going to be the ones that need to hold him accountable, or the parents are going to be the ones that, they're going to be the ones that have to take action just because these kids' age. I think some of them are of age now, but I do think that some of them are underage still. This is all sick. Preach. I always knew he was in trouble from day one. Let's see. Anyone who defends him or supports pedophiles, who cares about what sexual orientation he is, they prey on it's prey on children. It doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. It doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, bi. None of that matters. This would not fucking matter. This is a man preying on little boys. Period. I need, like, a period. Like, period. I need one of those. Oh, yes, huge shout out. I have the best fucking mods, guys. Huge shout out to the mods on this chat for taking care of the trolls. I appreciate you guys so much. They're the fucking best. This is so concerning as a parent. He needs to be handled. And I mean, that's where it comes down to, like, it's ultimately, like, it's the parent's right to choose to press charges or not. I hope that they do, but that's also their choice whether they do that or not. I never understood why Tati supported him in the beginning, but it all makes sense now. That's where I'm like, I think it's really easy, because I think people are starting to come for all these other creators that have collabed with them. And it just comes down to, you don't want to believe this about people. Like, you don't want to believe certain things, or that certain people are bad, or certain people treat people really shitty. You don't want to believe that about people, but unfortunately, that's the world that we live in. People think certain ways, people feel certain ways, people judge upon certain ways. So it's like, I'm not mad at the people that have collabed with him. Like, this was a reputable person that was represented by not only YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. How many brands have promoted and sponsored? Like, y'all gonna not eat at Chipotle because they just did a sponsored video with him? No, like, sometimes people don't know. And ultimately, it's over time. This is why apologies, in my opinion, are so fucking dumb on the internet, because it gives such unrealistic expectations for people. It's like they apologized, everything's all good. Like, the only reason that people apologize on the internet are to appease someone, or to appease an audience, or just to move on from it, instead of actually, like, reflecting in it. Like, just because you say you reflect in it, just because you say that you're sorry, it doesn't prove anything. Your actions going forward are what prove it. And just because you do this dumbass apology video, you like, No More Lies is a perfect example. That was an apology video. That was him expressing, like, saying his truth and this and that, saying, like, I'm going to start IDing people. He didn't do it. He didn't fucking do it. People lie, guys. People they fucking lie. And that's just a reality. He likes what he likes, and no apology is going to change that. He's sick and a danger to society. I completely agree. Like, I would have much more respected it if he was like, I'm sick, I need help. But I don't even think we heard that in his video. Like, it just was an indirect way of victim blaming, because he made sure to mention, like, they told me they were underage. Like, even though you weren't coming out and saying it, like, they lied to me, it was still, like, in the conversation. If you didn't want people to know that, you wouldn't have even have mentioned it. So in a way, it was still trying to defend himself, like, I didn't do anything wrong. And because I'm saying sorry, that just means everything's okay. And ultimately, again, it just comes down to it for me that I'm like, for future victims, or if this has happened, not even with just James Charles, this video just set the precedent of, if your abuser just says that they're sorry, it's okay. Because honestly, that's what it felt like, was like, it was uploaded on April Fool's Day, which I feel like everybody's pretty lighthearted anyways on April Fool's Day. But it's like, you couldn't have waited one more day just to, like, avoid it. But it's like, it was, I don't know, it's just, everything always feels so calculated. And I think that's why it just feels so gross. And it just comes down to, it's like, dude, you ain't sorry. You are not sorry. You're sorry that you got caught. And that's it. And I feel like it was honestly just a way for him to just be like, I apologized. Now, I think it was just more or less like, if people come out, like, if more people come out, I think ultimately it just felt to me, this is just my perspective, my opinion, was when I was watching this video, it was, hopefully this will shut other people up. Hopefully me saying sorry will just make everybody else shut up. And I think that's such a problem. It's just like a mind fuck. It's very manipulative. I get the love of makeup, but Tati was 35 and James was 17 when they became friends. Yeah, that was a little odd. But then again, I don't know. Exactly. Those internet apologies are nothing but damage control. 100% fake. Exactly. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a perfect person that I've never fucked up in my life. It happens. Everybody does. But this unrealistic expectation of, this person needs to apologize. I don't feel that way because I don't feel like it's genuine. If you are somebody that's genuinely upset about something, this is like going back to basics. Learn how to communicate with people and like direct them, message them, because some people aren't offended by the same things. You know, it's like if you have a problem with something, you go to the source itself. Like this whole like blanket it's fucking stupid. It's so unrealistic. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but I just think every time I see like an apology video, I'm just like, here we go. Here's some more drama. Let's give them more clout. And that's where like I debated talking about this because I do believe that there's no such thing as bad publicity, but this is too much. It's too fucking much. This is a crime. That's it. I don't get being upset at the people who have done videos collabs with him. People don't know, not their fault. Think of like serial killers with families who didn't know. Exactly. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm always curious to hear what you guys got to say. I completely agree. He's a manipulator. Yep. I would like to be the arresting officer. When you apologize yet keep doing the same shit, your apologies don't mean anything. It don't mean shit. It's just words at that point. Exactly. It's like actions speak louder than words, and your actions have shown you haven't learned a fucking thing. And you know what? That was like, he got the biggest like second chance. Like people don't get chances like that again. He more than redeemed himself. He doubled his platforms. He had his YouTube series, like his instant influencer, which this is another thing. It was recently announced that he's not going to be the host of Instant Influencer. Why? Why is that? I wish if it was for this instance, they would just come out and say it. This is why he's not the host, because it's an important message. Like this whole keeping it a secret. Apologies are part of the Predator's game book. It's so disgusting. It's like this has been bothering me for days. Let's see. Should not depend on the parents to press charges. The kids will get re-victimized. That's where it's like, I feel like legally that's what has to happen is the parents do. But I agree. Like in a case like this where there's a very public confession, it shouldn't even come down to that. Like the proof is right fucking there. These kids felt uncomfortable enough to blast it on social media. That should be enough. But then again, I'm not a lawyer. I think Emily D. Baker would have a really great perspective on this because I'm pretty sure like a lawsuit will come of this. But how that comes about, I have no idea because I'm no legal expert, but it's just crazy. Exactly. Abusers say sorry and then do the exact same thing. Yep, 100% agree. Oh, let's see. How can someone who admitted of committing a crime is not in jail? I'm not Jesus. I make mistakes all the time. Same. He will do it again. I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that he will do it again just because he did. He did it. After that whole scandal, he did it again. And it's not like this is like shortly after. This is like a year, 2 years after that scandal. It's so interesting too how it comes up like almost like to the year within like the same month. I think it was May that everything went down before, and it's April now. It just seems like every year it keeps coming back up. Pattern. It will happen again if he's not charged and put in jail. It'll happen again if he's either not charged, put in jail, gets some sort of mental help, something. Oh my God, Danica. I just saw you sent me a super chat. Oh my God, Danica, you missed it all. You're going to have to come back. You'll have to watch the playback. Actions speak louder than words. James Charles is not sorry. Mm-hmm. Yep. I completely agree. It seems like majority of the people that are watching, it seems like we all are on the same page. I felt like this was important to talk about. One, because it's something that's been so heavy on my mind, and it's my platform. I can talk about things if I feel like it. You guys wanted to talk about it, and I just feel like this is a great reminder because I know that I have an audience made up predominantly of like my age, like 25, 35, and it's predominantly women. I think that it's an important message to say, have conversations with your kids so they know that it's okay to express things if something is happening, because you can't even blame yourself as a parent if something does happen, because I mean, I was a kid once. When I was told that I can't do something, I wanted to do it 10 times more. Shit, I'm still that way. If kids know that they have a safe place to come and speak to, or if they have something, I left a hotline number down below in the website. It's just important to remember, like, if something like this does happen, it's not your fault. Make it apparent that it is, like, it can be a comfortable situation to talk about, because this happens way too much. It happens way too much in this world, and unfortunately, I don't feel that it's something that is going to go away. Because there's always going to be sick and twisted people out there, but it's how it's handled. And I have so much respect for, like, these kids that had the guts enough to say something, because it has to be a scary thing coming out against somebody that has a reputation like James Charles, because it's that power dynamic. It's you feel like people aren't going to believe you. It's, oh, well, James Charles would never do that. Like, It happened. It happened. It's admitted that it happened, and something needs to be done about it. Denise, I can't with you. It's just, I don't know. I felt like this was very important, and I'm like, if you take away anything from this, it's like, pay attention to what your kids are doing online, but don't, like, seclude them from it, just because if kids want to get on it, they're going to get on it. Unfortunately, this is at least my parenting. People, it's so easy to be like, oh, I'm totally guilty of this. I'm like, you shouldn't be on TikTok. You shouldn't be on this. You shouldn't be on this. Well, in turn, I'm doing this. So it's like, I feel like as long as it's apparent that it is a safe place, and if something does happen, they're comfortable, that's, I think, the best thing that as parents we can do is pay attention. This stuff does happen, and it's even people that you would least expect it to be. You know? It's just the overall message that I had behind this. Like, I'm telling you, it's affected me in such a weird way, but I agree. So important to have open conversations with our kids. Yes, I totally agree. And I don't feel that it happens enough. Like I said in the beginning, I'm like, I'm shocked at myself that I've had to have that conversation with an 8-year-old. But unfortunately, that's real life. As much as it sucks. And social media, it's not going away. It's always going to be here. Think of when we were younger. I say we because I feel like we're all, like, familiar with similar shit. It's like we had AOL Instant Messenger. We had MySpace. Like, we had all this shit, but now it's so much more advanced. And I just feel like now especially, it's like the opportunities for things to happen, or for these kids to be put in positions that they don't necessarily realize. Like, but especially, like, sending pictures and stuff. Technology is so readily at our fingertips. And as a child, they may not realize those long-term effects that they can be affected by. And you can't even blame them, because they're kids. Like, we've all been there. They were kids. I agree. Your fan base should not be not be your dating pool. It's so, like, yeah. It just makes you want to vomit. It truly does. I'm telling you, it gave Tati's initial video a whole, like, I encourage you, watch that video again. You're going to feel a whole different way. Yes, it makes me even more glad I chose not to have kids. I don't have, like, they're not my biological kids, but they're my kids. And even then, it's just like, I even have, like, even having the conversations with Evan, like, the no means no. He's going into college. Like, these conversations are so important, because like that, it could change their fucking lives. It's up to the parents to educate their kids. You have to be a parent. As a mother of a 30-year-old young man, I always made sure I'd let my son know he could always come to me and talk about anything and have difficult conversations with him. Yes. Kids are way smarter, more observant, and yes, I completely agree, than we give them credit for. Kids are not fucking dumb. I guarantee my 8-year-old stepdaughter could probably navigate the internet probably better than I can. And I feel like, too, it's almost like I wish this would reach more people that aren't on YouTube, like, just real life people that don't pay attention, because social media matters so much to kids. These uncomfortable conversations could save them a world of hurt later. Completely agree. I think that Shit, where was I going with that? Squirrel. Fuck. Man, I had such a good point. Hold on. Oh, shit. I don't remember. I'm sure it'll come to me. If it does, I'll say it. Wow, I didn't know you could chat on AOL. Oh my god, the instant messenger. What did Tracy ask if I saw her last comment? Let's see. Tracy, you always do this to me. You make me scroll. Let's see. What about the fact that Jeffree Star, I know he has a horrible track record, was saying he was dangerous and a monster and was blasted so bad for making accusations. Just wondering thoughts. My thoughts on that were, it's difficult because it's like knowing now what we know. He wasn't lying. He wasn't lying. It's sad. It's sad because it's so easy to like believe and not believe certain people because of being like problematic and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, it's almost like I feel like I'm seeing a lot of this criticism of Trisha Paytas as well, because Trisha has been saying a lot of this stuff for a really long time, but it was like it's always been so easy to just be like, oh, she's a troll, and just write off like everything that she says just because of how problematic she's been. It's almost like it really sucks the fact that it has to come to this like awakening and this confession for us to be like, wow, maybe we should have listened. But then again too, at that point, it was all just accusations. But that's where it's like his video changed everything. His whole video. Because it's like, you just admitted it. You done admitted it. And that's it. And my favorite part was when he's like, to the guys that I hurt, I'm sorry. Again, me being nitpicky, but I'm like, the children. That was my TikTok. I was like, the children. Let's not make it seem like it's something that it's not. Or did I say that wrong? I probably did. Whatever. You get what I'm saying. Like, let's not make it seem less than what it actually is. That's what I meant to say. Let's see. Yeah, you don't know who to believe. Yup. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think certain people have shown that they're pieces of shit also. But with Jeffree, it's like the pot calling the kettle black. How many people has Jeffree Star paid off? Unfortunately. Allegedly. Because I don't know the facts on that. But, yeah, it's just crazy. Back in the day, it was creeps hanging out around the playgrounds. This is so scary and dangerous. He's such a groomer. He uses his celebrity to victimize. And I was just like, how did he not realize that power dynamic? I truly don't understand. The problem is, if somebody is problematic and they say something about someone who maybe hasn't been exposed elsewhere, they're not believed. And I think that's ultimately what happened was, you know, you saw, because this has been like an ongoing thing, I think, for like the past year, like more and more victims keep coming out. And it's just like, okay, this is a pattern. And then we're seeing text, but it's like, I'm telling you, it's like that video just solidified everything. So I am grateful that he did post it, just because it's like, you just done fucked yourself, dude. Like, you just admitted it. Yeah, stop blaming the victims. I totally agree. Let's see, but if Tati was a man hanging out with a 17-year-old, everyone would freak. It's gross. It's so, like, the double standards of it all are always crazy, but it's just nuts. These influencers are the center of social focus for children because of their access to social media. I'm an educator and tell my students all the time, these influencers are not real life. I do the same thing. Oh, this is what I was going to say earlier. So it's like every time, perfect example right here. So obviously my kids know that I'm on social media and stuff, but I try not to like beat myself up over it because I know how to handle it. Like, I've had certain things affect me. I couldn't imagine those things happening to them because they could not handle it. They could not mentally handle it. It would be so traumatic for them. They would not be able to handle it. And I just noticed, like, anytime something goes nuts on, like, TikTok, for example, I posted a random ass recipe the other day and it had 5-point-something million views on it. So I told Evan, just for like shits and gigs, and he was like, oh my, like, it's like this idea of being famous, and it's like if you were to ask almost any kid nowadays, what do you want to be when you get older? It's not like the president or an astronaut. It's not that anymore. It's, I want to be like James Charles. I want to be like a YouTuber. It's so interesting. It's so interesting, not only the parasocial relationship, because I'm totally guilty of that myself. I've definitely had my fair share of me being very attached to social media influencers, but it's like another level. It's like another level with a younger audience, and that's where it's like, I want to ask this question to you guys. What would you think? Because I honestly thought this was a thing. Do you feel that you should have to be a certain age to be on social media? Like, just like for, like, when you drink alcohol, you have to be a certain age. When you smoke cigarettes, you have to be a certain age. Like, when you are subjecting yourself that could potentially affect you, you usually have to be a certain age. Like, I'm kind of surprised that you don't have to be a certain age on YouTube, Instagram. Like, the fact that Charlie D'Amelio is 16 and has over 100 million followers on TikTok, I'm like, what is the, like, what is, I don't know. It seems so inappropriate, doesn't it? I don't know. I'm curious to see what you guys think about that aspect. Let's see. Yeah, I remember when she was trying to get in one of your lives, you wouldn't let her. It's because I don't want to subject them to the things that I've been subjected to, because I don't think that it would go well. I truly don't. Yes, at least 16. Yes. They're supposed to be, I feel like this is where I'm at. I'm like, I feel like in order to do something like that, and I think that there is like a new feature on Instagram that you could only message people of a certain age, but I'm like, we need to be like, this needs to be better. It feels like you should need to provide your social security number to get on a platform. Maybe an unpopular opinion, but that's honestly how it feels. Like, think about it. How many kids know their social security numbers? They don't. At least I didn't when I was that age. Age limits are good, but kids lie. And I think that's like one way to get around I think that's one way to get around the fact that you have to be of age. Or even if you have to like scan in proof of identification or like take a picture of your ID or something, and then it's like your information should have to match. It just seems like something that's so logical, it would make sense. Why doesn't it happen? This could be like a whole another conversation. It's just crazy. Let's see. But I think it is too young and the kids lie. Yeah. But that's where it's like, as adults, you think we would learn how to navigate that, especially when you have billions and billions of dollars and, set up these platforms. You think they would be able to figure that out? Oh, let's see. You have to be 13 to have a Facebook, I think, but people will just lie about their ages. It shouldn't be so easy to just lie, though. It's like, just like it's not that easy to fake your ID. It's not that easy to get in a bar without being ID. Like, you know what? I think that's just how I look at it. I don't know. That's just me and my... Yes, I think they should too. They should do background checks. Driver's license number would be better. Yup. That'd be a good idea. Yup. Oh, let's see. Here's Stuffy. Bruh! You can't even hear shit he is saying. Listen, I don't want to hear that no, they were young. No. 16-year-old kids will never talk. Yes. They will never. They never will. And it's just... I thought that was an interesting aspect too, but I'm like, I won't be that petty where I'm going to critique like the level of his volume of his video, but I did find that very weird. I did find it very weird that usually he's, hi sisters, and it's usually very loud. Like, I'm not surprised the fact that he didn't come out and say hi sisters. I know that was another critique that people said. It's like, not really appropriate. Like, imagine if he did, he would have got fucking roasted for that. So it's, I don't know. Because it costs money, duh. That's the sad part is, like, that's truth, though. Like, that's why it doesn't happen. That's why everything doesn't happen most times, is, it costs too much money. Get the fuck out of here. Let's see. Freaking freaking, is it Mercari? Has a verification system you can use it with. Would it be difficult to add it to other platforms? Yeah. Imagine the data security on everyone's social security. Yeah. It's crazy. It is crazy. Then people without social security numbers can't use social media. There should be, yeah, because I don't know if, I don't think social security numbers are like a worldwide thing, but there's got to be like a way for verification. A passport. Literally what James Charles is saying that he's going to acquire from these kids. How hard is it for social media platforms to do that? I don't know. I think we live in like the day of an age that this could be something so detrimental between so many different things. Influence, fucking, oh my, bullying, like you name it. You're at so much more of a higher risk now because everyone's on it. Like at least before, not everybody was on the internet, but now it's like you ain't cool if you don't have the internet. It just seems like there should be so much more. I remember I did a video a while ago. I think I might have even privated it. I was talking about how do we hold social medias? Like it was with the Shane Dawson situation. I'm like, doesn't it seem like there should be some sort of not punishment, but shouldn't platforms be held accountable as well for stuff like this? Like, shouldn't YouTube be held accountable to some degree for this? I don't know. That's just my thought. Social media is so important to this generation. They can't live without it. I remember after Hurricane Maria, we were without power for several months and the kids were going crazy. Yup. If you, like, this is where I'm at. I'm like, if you want to, like, punish isn't the right word. If your kid gets in trouble and you need to, like, take something away because they acted like an asshole or something, the most effective thing that you can do is take their phone. Because they don't know what to do without it. It's crazy. I'm just like, but unfortunately, that's, like, the era that we live in. Oh, let's see. I just wonder how fast everyone else would be in jail and getting fired for doing this, but James Charles and it's crickets. Exactly. Like, imagine anybody else getting on the internet and being like, you know what, guys? I admit to this. I'm sorry, but I had inappropriate conversations with a kid. Imagine anyone else doing that. I wouldn't have a job like in about 2 minutes from now. If that was real life, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing too, because I'm like, for how serious this is, I'm just honestly surprised that more people aren't speaking about it. And I say this shit all the time. It's because people don't want to piss off other people, or it's like a sense of power or whatever. I mean, it could be easy for me to look at it because I'm small potatoes on the grand scheme of YouTube. But at the same breath, it's like, this is such an important conversation. And it just comes back to, this was a confession. He admitted to it. There's no more like, oh, well, maybe it's not true. There's no more of that. What else do you need? It's crazy. Oh, Deandra's here. Girl, you caught the end. Let's see. Kids don't only have to worry about neighborhood bullies and they're prey for a whole new world now. It's honestly crazy. And I honestly, look at these grays, guys. This whole situation is giving me gray hair right now. But guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to hear more of your thoughts. Please keep in mind this was live. My conversations are always all over the place. But again, I just felt like this was such an important conversation because this to me is so much bigger than... It's so much bigger than what it's being portrayed as, I feel. And I think this is another thing that's so interesting is this month is Sexual Awareness Prevention Month. I have this website linked down below, but it's just so interesting. Like, if you are a victim or anything like that, if you're struggling, reach out to somebody. Don't be afraid. Don't ever be afraid to come forward with your story. You never should be. Period. You shouldn't be. And it's so unfortunate that that is a thing, that people have to be afraid of speaking up for themselves. Stand in your own and own that shit. If, like, I might not be the best role model, between the way that I talk and having unpopular opinions and stuff. But one thing I will always advocate for is owning your truth, standing up for yourself, and fuck what anybody has to say about it. If you don't like, if somebody don't like it, it's that easy. Don't pay attention to it. But with situations like this, it's so wrong. It's illegal. And to finish it off with one last hoorah, guys, because I just need to say it again because it's not being said loud enough. James Charles is a pedophile. He's a predator. He's admitted to it. And I'm going to say that with my whole chest. That's it. That's it. That's the rant. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Please leave your comments in the description box, or the comment section, not the description box. I fill out the description box. If you guys have any other resources as well, feel free to leave them down there, and I will include them in my description box. But parents, pay attention. Pay attention. Open conversations. I'll see you guys in my next one. Okay, bye.